we've got a new 12-volt computer option that's no bigger than a Raspberry Pi.
Stick around and we'll get right to it.
Hey, welcome back guys, Jason, KM4ACK. If you've been following the channel for, well, several years now, you might remember when I built this Raspberry Pi. And at the time, this was pretty much top of the line when it came to Raspberry Pi. We had loaded it up with extra storage space and a slick case, and this has served me very well over the years. However, now there's a brand new 12-volt contender out, and I think this is pretty sharp, and it's going to be replacing the aging Raspberry Pi. Now, in all honesty, I had looked at building a Pi 5 in this or in a very similar case, but when I started looking at the prices of it, well, that just didn't quite make sense. A 128 gig model that has 8 gigs of RAM, when you buy that whole kit, that was going to set me back $160. This little guy has more memory, comes loaded with Windows 11 Pro. Well, it does come loaded with it, but we're getting rid of that pretty quick. But it comes with all that memory, Windows 11 Pro. It runs on 12 volts natively, and it only cost me $137. Now, they do have another model. This one comes with 256 gigs of RAM, but they do have another model that comes with 512 gigs of RAM for about $13 more. We'll crack the case on this guy here in just a second and take a look at the insides of it and see if any of that is upgradable. I did go ahead and load Mint 22.1 on the device as a live image just to make sure everything like the Wi-Fi was going to work like I expected it to. And I'm happy to report that I had absolutely zero issues with it. Now, let's go ahead and jump over to the bench. Let's take the 4 screws out of the bottom and see what the insides of this little guy looks like. All right, before we crack the case on this thing, let's take a look at the input-outputs on this. And what we've got is a power port right here. This is a barrel connector, but it's not a 5.5 by 2.1. I'm not exactly sure of the size. I'm hoping I can find that out and note it right here on the screen. We've got dual 2.5 gigabit LAN ports on the back, and you've got headphones out on the back. On this side, we've got a Type-C. I believe this is a display port, and we've got an HDMI port. On the front side of the unit, we've only got the power switch, and then flipping on around to the last side, we've got 3 USB-A ports. And guys, when I tell you this thing is small, we're talking 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, and it is just over 1.5 inches thick. So this is a really small little unit. Now let's go ahead and crack that case and see what the insides look like. Now, they made it super easy to access this computer. We've just got these little screws inside of these rubber feet, so we don't even have to peel off the rubber feet to access the screws. Now, let's see if we can get this case cracked open. And there we go. Pretty easy. Take a look at that. That's pretty sharp. So here is our SSD, and it looks like it will be super easy to upgrade. Now, I would have to dig a little bit further into this. I'm not sure I want to go into that right now to see if the RAM is upgradable. But coming with 12 gigs of RAM, this thing should be fine for the time being. So there you have it. Now you know what I'm going to be using to replace that old Raspberry Pi. I hope you found today's information helpful. If you did, be sure to give us a thumbs up before you head off. We will see you guys on the next one. Until then, 7-3.